Now then, it's nearly time to say bonjour to our next guest, who's been an icon of British television for over 50 years.
From Only Fools and Horses to Open All Hours and A Touch of Frost, David Jason has an extraordinary career.
So before we speak to the man himself, let's have a reminder of some of those iconic roles.
Oh, it's the greatest. Sir David Jason joins us now, and good morning to you. It's great to see you this morning.
Good morning, Holly and Philip. It's lovely to be here with you.
Lovely
It's
to see
always
you.
a pleasure.
Well, we'll come to the book in a moment, but I think we just wanted to start by just saying from everyone here how sorry we are to hear the news over the weekend that your co-star and, more importantly, your friend John Challis passed away over the weekend. So that must have been extremely sad news for you to receive.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a complete surprise because poor old John hadn't been well for the last month or two, but it seemed he went downhill so fast, very rapidly, that one minute we were, thinking he was on the road to recovery, and sadly it just took him quite swiftly. So, yeah, we're still suffering a bit of shock, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
sure.
And also, he was. You always get the measure of a man when you look at the tributes and people saying how wonderful he was, how kind he was, and a lover of nature, loved his garden.
Yeah, one of the things I always measure an actor by is the difference between how they are in real life and the parts that they play. So it comes as a bit of a surprise sometimes to people that John Challis was such a kind and such a ordinary, lovable sort of chap, totally different to the character Boise that he played. Yeah. But a lot of people tend to think that that was John, but it wasn't. That was him, and just showed the skill that he had as an actor to portray Boise the way that he did, because it was totally against his natural nature.
Well, as we said to begin with, we're so sorry for the loss that you've had there. But I guess he was one of those people that came into your life, like many people you've met throughout your time, whether it be sort of personally or working, or the characters you have played that have given you those life lessons. And these life lessons that you've written here in your book, this is A Dell of a Life, Lessons That I've Learned. And I just wondered, what did the characters teach you? Because you say you learned as much from them as you did from other areas of your life.
Yeah, I think that you always do learn something from the characters that you play. Strangely enough, when you think that the difference between myself and the character like Granville that I played, there's also character Frost that I played. What you learn from them is, on one side you'd say Frost. What did you learn from Frost? Well, to be authoritative, to be strong when it's needed, and then on the other side, that Granville was a character was an innocent, and he was gentle. And so there's a sort of total dichotomy there, but you learn a little bit from each. The niceness about people underlying both characters, I think.
And also the people that you work with, because you say that Ronnie Barker was a great teacher in the importance of teamwork.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because you probably are aware of it as much as anybody else, and the meaning that we, the audience who watch you, and you and Holly, when you work, when you perform, we don't realise the team that you've got behind you to present your show and how important they all are. And myself, and Ronnie included, because Ronnie was the one that taught me the need to rely so heavily on your team. And if you are the leading man in a series like Frost or Fools and Horses, you come to respect your fellow players, and everybody in the team, and that includes the floor managers, the runners, makeup, wardrobe, all of those people are part of the team, and you need those with you. And that is a very important lesson that I learned from Ronnie B, because when I worked with Ronnie B, he was a big star, and I was, you know, just an ordinary jobbing actor. But I just loved the way that he had humility as well as encompassing all his team. Because he told me that was he couldn't do it what he did without his team. And yeah, I've learned that. That's a life lesson that I think we could all take a little note of occasionally. No names, no back drill.
You say there that he was a big star at that time and you were a jobbing actor, but you clearly went on to become a national treasure and a big star, and part of that was Only Fools and Horses and the magic that gave. But that level of fame was something I can't imagine you were prepared for.
No, you're absolutely right. But one thing that I would say, and this is quite important for people who are on the way up, and I often think about this about young singers and musicians that have a big success when they're in their, you know, early teens or in their early 20s, how to handle the dangerous lady called success. Because I was fortunate that I grew up in the theatre and I spent my time learning my trade and I just loved it. And because I loved it with a passion, I went all over this country and I went all over abroad long before that I found success in television. To me, success was working, and especially in the theatre. So I had a good grounding so that when this big mistress called success happened to me, I was able to take her with a pinch of salt and not take her too seriously. So I've been very fortunate in that regard.
And we didn't get a chance when you were, because this is out in the paperback. You were in talking to us when the hardback came out originally. We didn't get one thing I wanted to mention to you was the helicopter. Are you still flying?
Oh yeah, yeah. Funny enough, I've just completed my obligatory hours to get my to ensure my license is still valid. So. Yes, I'm still flying the skies, flying around the countryside. I love it. It's a wonderful relief from the day-to-day chores of life.
Yeah,
I'll bet. It's lovely to talk to you.
It's so lovely to see
always.
you. I wish you were in here next time. Come in and see us, please.
Now, that's a promise that you've got to keep. This
You're
time
always
next
welcome.
year, we'll be in the studio.
Yes, we will. Oh, I love that.
This is what we're talking about. This is David's book. And thank you very much
Thank
indeed.
you.
Always lovely.
Take care.
Thank you.